Yeah, hi everyone.
Hey,
What's
Um,
up?
I will just continue bootstrapping it here.
yeah, I'm gonna
Um,
kind of do some stuff on the side.
Yeah, do that. It's should be pretty easy. So what do we have here? So I just copied my script. That's the script, right? So we can do yarn add, what do we need? Axios, I think Axios. Why do I have moment? I don't need moment, I don't need fail. That's good. Axios moment dot moment dot we don't need, right? I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. We just need Axios for now. I just made it a private project. I already added the XML to JSON, right? Let's create a new folder. Let's call it the GitLab lib, and then we can, new file api.js, and should be pretty easy. So what do we need to do? We have a GitLab API. This is all. Don't care about this stuff. What is happening? Had some weird focus probably. API.js, and let me just enable coding assistance for this. Const Axios. I don't think I need path here at all. And we can just create the API. And generally what I just do is like if process.env GitLab token console error. You need to define a GitLab token, right?
Is this something that since are these reports? Do you have to be authenticated to?
Yes.
Okay.
You often have to be. It's really weird. We have some APIs where you have to be like authenticated, and it's annoying. And yeah.
Okay.
We want to GitLab API and operator. So this one is actually.
Jobs. Nice.
Yeah. So we have a job iterator, but we don't really need that. We can just do like, hey, have a GitLab API iterator, right? Because we basically just need a path. And in this case, it doesn't, in this case, it's just like API path. And we can be API path, API path, API path, pipeline ID can be gone. And then it makes it a bit easier. And we just iterate over the API path, right? Which allows us to do the following. Const GitLab API is it even named correctly? Like, yeah. Okay. GitLab API.
I'm not sure if the spelling's right. I'm terrible at spelling.
And that's why I just copied it. Lib. Also, API iterator is a bit weird. Okay.
Oh,
So
it's
what do?
capitalized in GitLab.
So what I would want to do is yeah, the GitLab. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not good. I should be right? And the cool thing is now we can just do GitLab pipelines API.
Do we need that one, or do we need the jobs API?
So we need we need the latest pipeline for the project.
Ah, gotcha. And then we'll
that
pass
is
that
successful.
into the jobs.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
we just need like where is it?
Can we do something smart too? Are we able to tell? Can we do a find pipeline so we also guarantee it's a pipeline that's successful and has the Jest job?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
pass
yes,
in
it's
the
easy.
query params.
Oh, or is one of the params include like job or something?
No, we can just make sure we get the latest pipeline that's successful and passed.
We make it. Watch a second, Paul. You're getting ahead of yourself. Is a new GitLab API iterator, and we just have that URL, right? And what's the pipeline ID of GitLab EE?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
A pipeline ID.
The project ID.
Oh, GitLab org / GitLab.
Yeah.
Oh, the actual ID though.
Yeah. I mean, we renamed the project once, right?
We did rename it once. Yep.
So replace
We
with
moved. Did we
template.
move it? Did the ID actually change? We moved
No,
it.
the ID. That's the cool thing about an ID. It doesn't change, right? So let's do this. We want to have status success, right?
Mm-hmm. We want ref to be master as well, correct?
Yep, that's right. So we want ref to be master. Obviously, we need to teach the iterator about why doesn't it jump there? We just like, like params equals, and then, this params equals this. And then we
params that we're passing in.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Params, and then we can be like params. This is a bit awkward, and I think it could be refactored, right? But the cool thing is like this params, because we obviously want the. I mean, maybe we want to overwrite per page, but the page at least should be there.
Yeah.
By the way, this iterator is actually pretty simple, right? So it has an async next, as long as like maybe we should rename commits to like something more generalized.
Items.
Entities or items is good. I like items, right? Yeah. So basically how this works is like unless you're on the last page, right, it iterates through, and as long as you have items, it just returns those items. By the way, this also can be rewritten a little bit with a generator pattern, and then it's even more nicer.
Yeah.
Because then you can just yield the values as long as you have them, and if you have no values anymore, you jump back into your loop. I have that iterator somewhere lying around. I wonder for which tool I've written that one. But anyway, should like be like good, right? And then we can be like for await and then pipeline of pipeline I mean, it's an instance, right? So it should be console pipeline.
Yeah,
right?
That should work.
But we want to stop at some point, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we should have like a count or whatever, right?
If we run it right now, it's gonna just keep hitting it.
Yeah. So now we can all find where my token is. Wait, we have this like env. No, where is it? Like, yeah, there it is. Yeah, eval. So, GitLab iterator is not defined. GitLab API iterator? What is not defined? Yeah, we should properly export it as well, right? So now we should get pipeline for pipeline. You see that? Oh, yeah. Maybe we should, and then in this loop, I would simply, be like, hey, let's create a jobs iterator, right? New GitLab iterator, and then we are just like project. It's the same URL essentially, just with jobs in the end, right? And the pipeline ID. So yeah, pipeline.id and jobs, right? And then we do for await const job iteratore. It's an Italian one apparently. And we can be like console if, okay, let's be like const jest jobs equals
Empty array.
an empty array, exactly. Then we just do like job name starts with, and we just do jest space, right? We could, because we have the jest integration one, which we don't want, you know, but should be good for now. Then
Yeah.
we just do like a const data GitLab API, data equals GitLab API get, and it will be projects. So essentially like this, but this time around with jobs. And it will be job ID, right? And now I need to cheat again.
We had built a GraphQL query that
There you go.
some of this.
Slash artifacts.
Right?
I like where this is heading.
Test
Well,
jobs. So this is getting all artifacts, right?
Yes.
Download, get job artifacts. Okay, get a single artifact. So this is also really weird, by the way. Like single artifact by job ID. What the heck? Like job ID artifacts, and then we have the artifacts path.
That might be good. That's all we need. I'm fine if we just hard code the assumption that we know. Yeah.
What was the name?
That rings bells.
Let me just check like real quickly because we changed it.
Yeah.
If you have it easier, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to push this. Wait a second. And then we can be like, hey, if jest jobs length, we just break, right?
Great
and then
idea.
we do console log jest jobs. And the cool thing is, I think the jobs, if I remember like output correctly, jest jobs is undefined. Ha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we move that to a function?
Yeah, 11. That's a good idea. Let me just, you know,
yeah, you're good.
For now we should be, but it ended somewhere, right? Like, and we can see here, and the good thing is that we actually have artifacts here as an array, right?
Perfect.
So we should be able to, you know, that's a good, you know, async function get latest pipeline with or get latest jest artifacts.
Yeah, just I think it's get latest jest jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I mean, we can, you know, be like, hey, this is cool. And we just, you know, return and const jest jobs equals await get latest jest jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can be like jest jobs map x, and then we do console log x.
Yep. Can you do
I know it's
13?
Sorry?
On line 13, the const.
Yes. I mean, it shouldn't be that bad, right? Like,
No, well, yeah.
oh yeah, there we have it. And you can see we have like junit.xml.gz, right? Artifact.
It's there. That rocks.
This is, by the way, this is funny. So I think we actually need to change something in our pipeline, by the way, because there is currently no API to retrieve this, but maybe let's just try it out. So we have...
You talking about retrieve the file type?
So this has the file type JUnit. And as far as I know right now, for a job, it's not possible to get the JUnit stuff, right? So if we have the jobs API, you can get the log file under trace, right? So you can get like that's the log, right? The trace, the job log, but you cannot get the thing. It's really, sorry?
We should be able to get the artifact, right?
No, it's that's what I'm just going to try out, right? So we have like the download single artifact from by job ID, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's, what do they have as a comment here? So this should be the file, right? Okay, now let's do, we don't need to do this to test this. We can be like const data is GitLab API.get, and we just be like, hey, and we all don't need this. But let's maybe just take the latest job. So this is the job.
It might be easier to actually map like from the job.
Yeah, but I didn't want to go through it.
Yeah, I see what you're doing. You're good. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's just more like, hey, let's try it for one, and it should be JUnit xml.gzip.
Yeah.
So let's try it. We also should do something with the data, right?
Uh-oh.
404. Yeah, and this is the annoying part, because I think if I switch it out with the coverage front-end one.
No. Oh, wait.
No. Okay.
Well, that's good.
You scared
That's
me.
good. So maybe let's go to the job page. Go into browse. This is the file name, right? So maybe let's try.
Instead of the gzip.
Yeah, artifacts. Let's just try like the JUnit jest.xml. Undefined. Why are we getting undefined? Undefined is rare, right?
Is it
Well, I think
because we're destructuring data?
Yeah.
Maybe that's maybe it's just set
people.
it to data without.
We need to await. Yes.
Okay, good.
Isn't it beautiful?
Beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Now we can convert this to JSON most likely and make it a little bit easier to build a front end.
Yeah, and that's basically the stuff that I wanted to give you, because I know that I already have written this, right?
Yeah, this is super helpful.
Yeah. So we just do this.
Cool.
So let me ask you, and keep going, IP. But so the way that you've done a handful of these pages projects, you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, a CI job that runs this script and creates like on a schedule, and then creates like the static data that then your front end queries that static data. Got it. That's how you can circumvent the permissions stuff. That
exactly, and that makes it also easy because it's just a static file. It has other benefits. So often, for example, here we are likely to have some JSON artifact, right? And what I'm also doing is I'm putting that JSON artifact into the artifact of that job, which is great because right now we just generate it for the moment being. But if we have the JSON artifact, and at some point are like, hey, maybe we want to track some stuff over time, we actually could go back and consume those JSON artifacts that we've built, and you're independent from the GitLab pipelines and from red masters, and it's a bit more reliable essentially, right?
No, I love it. And we could even do an IP and Peyton, what we were talking about earlier, like we can even do notifications in that scheduled job of that sounds really awesome. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I'm glad we went this route.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we need to do? We need to get like the job.id, right? Or maybe just do job here, right? And that's the data. So we have all of the data of this one. So we can be like.
So I would go ahead and parse this XML first.
Yeah. Let's do that. Okay. So const XML JSON equals require XML JSON, right? XML to JSON.
Can't remember.
And it's probably like parser.
Right. Yes, that's what it was.
Const JSON equals parser.
Parse. I think it's parser.parse.
Is it parser.parse?
Who did that?
I think so.
To JSON. It's just to JSON.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, it's parser.to.json.
Is it parser.to.json? So we can just destructure that to JSON, right?
Yes, you're right. Yep.
Yeah.
That okay with you?
I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm gonna rewrite this in Dino anyway, so I'm joking, IP.
It's fine with me, right?
But what's cool is like this whole GitLab API iterator could be in its own file, and like we could reuse it across projects. That kind of thing is really cool.
Yeah, I actually, wanted to take the iterator and publish it because I think it's really neat because all of our REST APIs work like that. And I think the only feature it would need in its current state that you have like, hey, I want to have like a max thing, right? I don't want to go through 1,000 pages or something. By the way, this is also how you can improve. That's the reason why I didn't have the per page. So it's very unlikely that we go through, let's say, 100, right? Often if you're like, I want to have all commits of a project, you just say per page 100 to paginate faster, right? But here, for example, it actually would make sense to like pay per page 5 because it's very likely that one of the first pipelines actually has a successful Jest job, right?
Yeah.
And so you have smaller API results and whatnot.
That's a good point.
So let's have a look what happens here. And we also probably should add some, this looks good. But you know what we're going to do is like, hey, abort. Okay, so it says it's JSON. So maybe we do a const write file sync equals require fs, right? And
do you need to write anything here?
I just want to write it because it's easier to go through a static JSON file than to some log output to see how the structure of the file is. Yeah. So we can just be like write file sync. And in the end, we at least need to write a JSON file or an HTML file to look at, right?
Yeah. I prefer for these kind of scripts to let bash do the piping let's just output, and so I don't even have to worry about like receiving a certain input path or mess with anything like that.
Yeah, that's actually smart.
But this but for just so we can see it makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Paul, do you want to write the CI job, or do you want me to do the front end, or?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. Either way, maybe,
or are we doing it all now, or?
I hope you
didn't have any plans today, Peyton, because well, I think once we get the data, I have a few things I need to do today besides this. But maybe if you want to pair on all of it together, maybe Monday, Peyton.
Well, I can pick up some of it today. I've got 4 MRs in review, so I can just push up.
Okay,
stuff.
cool.
Do you see that, guys? That already looks like pretty good. Let's maybe format it pretty.
So
Just
I'd like, yeah, while it's formatting, because it's humongous.
Okay.
And one optimization we could make is maybe instead of transferring it all to JSON and then reading through it, maybe there is actually an XML reader that we could use. Because here's the end format I would think would be super helpful.
To be honest, like this doesn't take long at all. So I would just be like, the only thing is like we have this test suits global object, which we don't need because it's basically the individual thing of those 4. I mean, basically what I think we're interested in is all the test suites, which is like this array, right? So the only thing that I just wanted to know is like, hey, give me the test suites. Suites is this one, right?
You need to destructure test suites.
Yeah. So test suites. So it's test suites, right? And I basically want this, right? And so I can just be now like, hey, const test suites equals Jest jobs dot flat map, and then we have like job, and we do this thing where we do our await here. Async done. Oh no, this doesn't work, right? Let's keep it like that.
Well, I think if you pull into another function, if we do like a fetch test suite for job, that could make it like a really very readable line. But I get what you're saying, and I like it a lot. What I wanted to talk about while we're here, because I'm gonna have to hop off in a little bit. This is so freaking helpful. I really appreciate IAP. I haven't realized it till now, but this has like been bothering me for a couple of months, and I just sit there worrying about it instead of doing anything. I'm joking. What I want to talk about is like, what's the ideal output of this data that we think could be helpful? For me, what I would really like to see is file, the test file.
Yep.
I don't even. We don't need to see all the jobs. I want to see the test file and then like
and we've already lost because there's no. We don't have the file in these outputs.
Oh, okay, I knew that. All right, and that's fine. We can keep this. We can keep this name stuff. This is why it's like, and if you ever see me on a review,
make sure we name all our. Is this from the describe block?
Yes, it is. If you see me in a review and I'm like, oh yeah, it's really nice if these describes are all unique, and I put the file name in the describe. This is the reason I do it.
I'm about to go rename all of them.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to. This is opening up a side.
See, this is really good. So they actually have a config. See that? So they have like class name template, and so we could just change the class name template to maybe contain the file or something.
Oh, use path for suite name. If you go up, there's use path for suite name.
Oh, you set it to a Boolean.
I think that's 100. I think that's 100% what we want to do.
Yeah. Deprecated.
It's deprecated.
Use
file
use
path.
suite name template. Yeah. So we have suite name template, and suite name template equals file name, and then the suits would all be right.
Perfect.
That is perfect. So let's pretend that that's already there.
Yeah.
What I think
so we're already happy.
Right.
Yeah.
And IP, correct me if I'm wrong, because you've built more of these kind of dashboards than I have. But I would just love to see, here's a file, and then the slowest test of that file, and then the time of that slowest test. So then I know, here's the files that we're going to need to refactor to fix these things.
So I want to correct you a little bit. So I think there are probably multiple views, right? So sometimes you have like a file. Sometimes you have like a file that's slow and you want to fix it, sometimes you just have like humongous file that's slow, right? So that's fine, right? If you essentially, yeah, I think you're right. So essentially what I probably would build, I would build one table that is just like all the files and, you know, and maybe you can expand it.
Right. But what I wanted to emphasize is that time on line 14, that's, to me personally, I'm not really worried about that.
You're basically worried about those, right? You want the slowest. So why don't we build a table that, you know, and excuse the markdown? We need a README anyway, guys, right? So Peyton, this is something that I really hate writing. So imagine we have like this one, right? So what if, like, because this would be the file name, right? So example path.spec.js, right? And then we are just like here, and then we just have time, right? So we have like spec time, and then we have like 2 seconds, right? Whatever. And we have seconds, and we just sort that by longest running test.
There's one tweak to it that I think I would personally prefer, but I want to see if you guys think would be helpful or not. Because usually in these cases, when there's a file that's slow, it's like all the specs in the file are slow. So it's going to end up being really, to me, when I know like, okay, what are my slow files? Because that's like how we create issues, and the refactoring is like based on spec files. Like it's really helpful for me to like, let's group it by file. And so what I'm really interested in is, rather than the individual tests, because what I'm picturing would happen is I'll have like 20 all from one file.
I see where you're going.
I really want to see grouped by file, what's the slowest test of that file, and then the time of that slowest test.
Ah, okay. So you basically want to see example. Okay. So what do you guys think about this? Time, I mean, it would be interesting. So the whole thing took 7, seconds. Slowest test would be like open ups pop up when clicked, right? And then we have the slowest test time, which was like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
right.
That sounds so beautiful. I'm getting jittery just thinking about it.
Do we want to do the display this with like Express and handlebars, like a small Node app, or what are we? Is that what y'all are thinking?
I think so.
Node app doesn't make any sense. We have it might be, sorry for that, because GitLab CI would allow us to just have it in pages. I mean, how large are these JSONs? ls minus lh.
Hey, so we could even use. Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say, IP? I didn't mean to interrupt.
A lot of these contain cruft, and because like here's a lot of duplication and so on. So I think in total it's like 4 megabytes of data. I would just either be, if you want to go crazy and go the next route, I would do a next route that just asynchronously gets like the combined JSON and shows it, or what's really fast? An HTML file.
Yeah.
So I would just do it with Pug or whatever templating engine, and just render that table that we have outlined here.
Yeah, we'll do that. That sounds easy.
I think using a static site generator and just doing a no JavaScript solution makes the most sense. And because it's I don't think there's gonna be any interaction unless you think we need to do like filtering, or someone wants to change the sort or something. But
I think for first iteration, the static data table is going to be super helpful.
Yeah. I've only used Hugo like for doing static site generating. But I guess what you're saying, we could use Mustache. Oh yeah.
We could even use Lodash templates.
Yeah, but those have a CLI to it, and all we got to do on our pipeline when we build the pages is just run. Here's our data. Here's the Mustache file, and we output the index HTML, and boom, we're done. So yeah, it can even just be a Mustache thing. Cool. I'm giddy. IP.
Yeah, I want to push up a commit today. I have to.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. This was
Oh no, test suites of cannot read test suites of undefined. Oh gosh.
Hmm?
Why doesn't this work?
Is test suite an array? I thought test suites and then test
test suites
suite.
is like the root.
But that's just like the
Oh,
root
it
is
is.
an object, right?
Test suites.
Okay. Const JSON. Let's just do it like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can be like console log JSON. I mean, that should be. So is it? It's actually. Is it actually doing JSON? No, right? It actually does create JSON. So we need to do a JSON parse. Am I seeing that right?
Oh no,
Like-
really? Oh, you might be right. Wait,
That doesn't seem like a very helpful npm package.
oh, you can pass objects to JSON, and you can tell it to return an object instead of the string.
Yep. There we have it.
Very good, but
Did you just do that? Oh,
Yeah.
you did JSON parse. You can tell XML to JSON to do it by itself.
oh, okay. I was about to say they missed a crucial part. Of
You
that
can do
package.
it themselves. Like,
There's an option so you can pass as a second argument.
yeah.
Yeah, to the to
It
JSON.
would be object true.
Object true.
Well, I guess you
So-
can just look for object. Yeah,
Oh,
there you go.
Default false. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that
cleans
sounds
it a
good.
little
Like
bit. Yeah.
object true.
Yep. And then we don't need the parse. Yeah. You can call concat on it since it's an array of things.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, you got to do the test suites equals test suites concat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also nice that I wrote it into a JS file.
It's valid JavaScript.
I recently found out about .take a few days ago with Ruby. That is pretty sweet.
What's
Where-
.take?
It like it limits the number.
Right. Like, so if
Yeah.
you want to, I had to put a max on something. So if you want to like only want the first 25 items out of an array.
Yeah, I wish there was something like that in JavaScript.
Is JavaScript take? Isn't it
If
the thing
is,
now?
I've never used it.
Slice. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got to do like 0 and you got to pass in certain indexes that you want to do.
Ruby is just syntactic sugar. So yeah. So what essentially what you're saying though, Paul, is you want this to be like retrieve retrieve JUnit, right? Artifacts, right?
Mhm. Something like that, or yeah, fetch, speed report or something.
Yeah. So essentially what you mean is like, hey, we do this with a console log.
Yeah.
Then we can also be like, hey, we can maybe here do a console one and like got data for pipeline, and then we template string do something like what's the thing that we want to do? It's like pipeline.id, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Success. Found some Jest jobs, right? Okay, and then we can be like here, console1, get Jest Jest JUnit artifact for job ID.
Man, I wish we had this level of logging in our application.
So you're like node retrieve JUnit, and then we can just pipe it into JUnit combined.json, right?
Yep. Oh, it's so pretty. That rocks.
Okay, so we have, yeah, obviously we need to console log JSON stringify test suites null 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's not what I want. I want this. Yeah, that would be
ZSH keeps you from overwriting file.
Yep.
That's cool.
So we have like, this should be the combined JSON, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, this looks right.
Yeah.
So, and the thing that you're saying is like, you want to have pug.
Yeah, I want those.
You want those pugs?
Yep.
Does pug have a CLI? I don't know.
I know Mustache does. And I'm more familiar with using Mustache templating than Pug. But yeah, then we just run. It doesn't even have to be a part of here. That'll just be its own script.
Yeah, I know. I just wonder if it makes sense to just, you already instantiated the thing. Now you're dumping it out of memory in order to read it into another thing. And it's like, hey, essentially create our own pipeline, and we can just, be like async get test suites, right? Because
no, you bring up a good point. Mustache can also read from a stream as well. So because we're not when we do console log, it does let us make those optimizations because CLI can read from a file. Lots of different CLI things can read from a file or a string. Yeah. And so yeah, Mustache, you can also do a stream input, which would work as well. So we don't have to dump to disk or anything if we wanted to do that. But it's not a huge deal, and that's just my that's how I tend to approach these things.
So one of the things I like that too, if you can plug in things together, right? So, but it's like, hey, let's maybe just do name, right?
Yes.
We need the time, right?
Yep. But then we want to do this. I think we'd want to do the slowest test calculation here. So it,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So we can be like, and so this is this one, right? And we can be like return, and then it's name, it's time, is parse int time 10. We have, it's not parse int, it's parse float anyway.
I would just use number, yeah.
Tests is just the count of tests. So is this like at least a number? No, obviously it isn't. So you would just be like number tests.
If test is a number, it's just number. Number is a function that converts strings to numbers. Okay. Or anything numbers, yeah.
Okay, and then we say slowest, and it's just like test case.
You want to create a function called find slowest test case?
Okay. Function find slowest test case. right?
Yep.
And we just do this.
Mm-hmm.
And we can be like return, test case. Here we can at least go plural, right?
Yes, let's please do that.
Cases, and then we can do a map and
I guess we could, you can't do it in one reduce. Or we could split it up.
you need to loop over it anyway.
Well, we need to get we need to first calculate the slowest value and then find the one that did the slowest. If you do a reduce, you can just keep track of, okay, do I replace my accumulator? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could do the reduce and the two params for, and you don't need to pass a second arg to it either. It'll already start kicking for you. Pass the accumulator. I usually call the first one, yeah, and that works too. Yep. And then, yep, yeah, that works. That sounds really helpful.
Okay, so we just do that. If I don't provide an argument, does it start with the second one and puts the first one in the, you know what I mean?
Yes, it is. It does that.
I
Well,
didn't even
slowest
know
will
that.
actually be slowest. I think will actually be undefined. Well, let me double check. Yes, you're right. I think you do want to pass null to it. That makes a lot of sense because these are different types. You can use like a reduce to do summing, and it will like include the values, but we don't need to do that. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. So if we don't have a slowest, we're going to return the current. Yeah, this is a good approach.
So what do we have time and name, right?
Yeah.
So we again have time and name equals current, right? And we can be if slowest, we return time, number, time, and name.
Yep.
Right. So this is already BS. So maybe just do const name. We just do it for name, right?
Yeah, I think
we
it's a good
can
idea.
be const time equals number current time. That would be cool. Destructuring with a map function.
Yeah, one pattern I've been doing lately is if I know I'm gonna like convert something, I'm not really gonna use it. I'll call it like name time, but then I rename it to time arg.
Yeah.
Like I throw like arg or param at the end if I know like I'm not really gonna use this. I need to convert it first or something like that. But yeah, this makes sense.
If
So then,
slowest time is smaller, no, if slowest time is larger than time, we return slowest, right? Otherwise, we return time and name.
yeah.
Why does
Slowest time is larger than time. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can also be like, hey.
Yeah.
If time slowest time, right?
That rocks.
And then we can just return slowest.
I love it.
Yeah. So if we now do that, we have the test suites. Jan add pug. Shoot, didn't someone wanted to write the front end?
I think Peyton was talking about doing that.
Touch template dot pug. Okay, so we get, what does it complain about? Const require pug, right? And we can be, hey, compile the file to us. And we have test suites. And that's the template, right?
Yeah. So that Peyton can pick up the template part, do you mind if we just console log the test suites for right now?
What do you guys what do you think if we just do the following? Wait, we also have the problem that is like he can do the template. I'm just going to be like, hey, HTML, see what we need, a write file sync.
Yeah, you should. I would suggest use a mustache. The CLI does all this for you. You don't have to code it. It can be pretty nice.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing I don't like, we would need to serialize it to JSON, for example. And JSON is really, if there are any problems, you don't get the benefit because the JSON has to be parsed completely anyway.
Well,
the performance benefit, for example, right? And
so you will. That's true. I don't think because we're aggregating by test name, the JSON is going to be significantly smaller since we're aggregating by test file rather than doing each test name. But I don't feel super strongly about it. But I would just say, hey, let's. I just really want to see the data right now, and that's and then we'll figure out what we do later.
Oh, by the way, we probably also one thing that we want to do with the test suites, right? By the way, so that's actually a good call out, Lucas. Slowest test time. And it's like that. And is like slowest test name, right?
Well, wait, we're already prefixing this thing with slowest.
No, we're not.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, we could do that.
I like that because then, you don't have to look into that object.
Yeah. A mustache is pretty easy to do. You're good. No, yeah, I think it's fine either way.
Iteration. So this is like, okay, pug. Each, what do you want now? Do we just do a paragraph? Each value in, what is it? Test tweets? No, actually, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to be like pre and then be like equals JSON stringify test suites null to. And let's see what happens.
Do we need to give our like JSON object a root object now? Because I think it's just an array.
But you can serialize. You can. Oh, time is not defined. Why is time not defined?
We have it still assigned there. Yeah.
Got data for pipeline. I see a new pipeline just finished. It's crazy. Cases reduced is not a function.
There you go.
Why not?
Is test case
looking at the combined data, it's test case, right? Do we maybe have skip points where it's not defined?
That would be so scary. Oh no.
I mean, reduce for an empty array should be pretty efficient. What? Why is test case not?
Let's see if we can. I would suggest console logging at find slowest test case. You can even exit after you get the first one and just double check what it is.
Come on. Oh, yes, obviously. Ugh. this XML parser, the problem with XML, if you have like the tag multiple times, it will convert it to an array, but it will, you know.
Oh, okay, well that's actually an easy thing to do. We could do on line 33.
Line 33. Array
Yeah,
is array.
I would do if array is not array. And then I would just do a recursive call of wrapping it with an array.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I know what you mean now. Like, why a recursive call?
Well, I mean, you could do it that way. We could change the param to be what we want it to be, or we could just do, if we're not an array, then return find slowest test case wrapping in an array. But however you want to do it, it's fine.
Ah, so you're like, if array is array cases, you would just do like return find slow. Oh, that's really smart.
Yeah.
I've never done it that way.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like having those like top level if guards, like it's kind of like some.
Yeah, I know. I usually do it
stuff.
the other way. I always do it just iteratively, and then it's F is not defined. Oh, geez.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we got further, right? Like.
Woo. Oh man. Wow. Oh, we're not sorting it yet. Oh, I can't wait for us to sort it. Can we sort it, please?
Yeah. But do you want to sort it by total test time or by slowest test?
Slowest test time. And we would do the sort on the out right after the outer map, right?
Yeah, that's you're right. Yeah. Okay. So this is A, B, and then A dot slowest dot time minus B dot slowest dot time, and then because it's obviously wrong,
we're gonna
the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah. How does that work? So if the bigger one, it's always going to do it the ascending of the sort value. So I think this is going to be ascending. I think we do want it the other way, but let's just double check.
Yeah,
I'm probably wrong too.
Oh, geez. Why is now something?
How's your day going, man?
Mine? It's good. My sister Anna just finished her bachelor thesis.
Oh, nice.
And put it into the post today. Ah, look, that's the slowest one.
Cool.
Jesus! Why isn't it like, sorry for the blasphemy. I know you're a religious guy.
Thanks.
I just meant some random guy in Mexico named Jesus.
I'm sure Jesus and Jesus will forgive you.
Would be so cool if we had a Jesus on the team. Like,
that would be pretty awesome.
No, I'm going to you. It's recorded, right? Oh, dang! Now everyone will see that.
What'd you say?
Everyone will see that I'm using VS Code now for the final. This is not good. People are like, okay. So it's just, you know what I often just then do?
Oh gosh. Go for it.
I mean, you know what we also could do? We could just do plus A. Minus A
plus B. Oh, now that's an interesting way to think about it. Okay. I've never been able to get a really mental model that really makes sense here. Oh well.
Okay. Touch dot git ignore, right?
Mm.
And we can be like, hey, what do we need? Like, we will definitely want to ignore node modules.
Yep.
Add to git ignore.
And I guess also any generated file, which would be the
yeah. So the thing that I probably would do is like mkdir public.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And that's what's, here's another benefit too with, letting the terminal do the glue code. It's just so then you have one place that all of these, directories and stuff get referenced and the way paths are.
What do you mean?
Oh, like, because we ignore the public directory, we want to end up writing there. It's a little like outside, the responsibility of the script to like know the path that it's putting stuff to. And anyways, I'm probably gonna pipe things with the CLI later.
Do we have? I just wonder, because, so you're saying mustache? Okay, come on. I did all the things my way. I'm like mustache npm. Is that where it is?
Yeah, I think you use npm. Yeah, there's a Ruby thing too. Like I think you already have it like on your CLI.
How would I have it in my CLI?
If it's like in your brew.
It's not in my brew. Why should it be in my brew?
Not your brew. I mean, what did they call the?
But the question is, mustache.js is like command line. Does it have? Yeah, it has like, okay. So we just do that. Like, is that?
Yeah.
So we do. Where's my pug thing? Index. No, move pug. We just call it like template.mustache.
Yeah.
And here. So this is like how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we do mustache output HTML, or in this case public dot index HTML.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's called template. Did we call it template?
What we can do here is like public output.json.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, and then we have template.mustache.
Yeah.
Okay, and what will we do for index.js? So we just do console log the JSON stringify what's his name? Test suites, right?
Yeah, but I think we do want to wrap it in a object like you did on line 78 through, because I think we do want to have like a root object we reference. Otherwise, I think you could use dot and mustache. I'm not entirely sure. So this is
and how do we have like iteration? There should be an example, right? Like just like that? No.
Yeah.
What? Just like this?
Yeah, that's it.
And so we just go in here and be like, hey, and then we are like, hey, I don't know, Lee.
Yep.
Lee, and UL.
Oh yeah.
UL, and then we have like, what's his name? Template. So this was test suites, right?
Yep.
And we are like test suites, and then in here
name in there. Yep.
And it's like name.
Yep.
And then I don't know. And then we have like slowest dot name. Yeah, and then we have slowest time.
Yeah, I'm 75% certain that's gonna work.
Mustache not found. No worries. So we actually can do like yarn, and then we just do node mod yarn run, or no, you know what I'm.
Yeah, the dot bin.
The dot bin, and we are like yarn remove pug. And so this is something I already don't like. Our XML library is shitty because it has like some thing it compiles.
Oh, it has a native thing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yarn add mustache.
Yeah, let me double check the CLI.
Oh, could not pause view as JSON. Ah, yeah, that makes sense because we still want pug. Okay, let's see what happens.
Oh yeah, it comes with a thing. Whoa.
Public. Oh yeah, see?
Sweet.
Okay, you convinced me. Mustache is the go-to from now on.
Nice.
Yeah.
I am so freaking excited. This is so helpful. So what is the slowest? I want to see what's the slowest one.
Like us. Wait a second. We need to build it first.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it builds right now. I just changed the output a little bit. Like open.
So it would be kind of cool. You know, I can see it being pretty. Oh wow. Okay, the slowest one. Awards handlers for sure. The slowest one that shows up all the time.
But it's so these timeouts that we are seeing. Is it these timeouts that we are seeing? Is it like the whole suite times out or just the test times out?
It's an individual test.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's an individual test that times out, but you know, usually what that means is that we have to refactor the whole suite, or we have to refactor the whole file.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. And then we'll let Peyton get crazy with the styling of this, making it really pretty.
Yeah, you're right. I think that's good. Like that's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that we already could do, which is nice, just in order to like thing here, like console, and I'm leaving this one for Peyton. 5 slowest test suites.
Yeah, I like that.
So if you run it now, we have at least have the output, right?
Mm-hmm. Is there a way to get like Node to cache some of these requests we're making?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you run it like once an hour, it should be fine because we should have new pipelines anyway, and that's it.
Right.
By the way, this is the only data that Echo successfully ran our build. That's the only data that I would, that I would also like to have on the page. Like, which commit are we talking about? Which pipeline are we talking about? Right. So this is also
Yeah.
That's a problem where we moved it to that function, right? That you probably need to change it around a little bit. Like, hey, as soon as you see one of the Jest jobs here, right, you probably want to return the pipeline then, so that we have it in the output as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to create an issue for that and our.
Are you going to create an issue before we had the first?
Yep. Pipeline. You said pipeline. Traceability. You mentioned what pipeline did this run on, what commit, and then that's about it, right? Oh, and when did it run? That's a good idea.
Yeah. So
add
yeah.
more metadata.
So we have the git ignore. So what else do we need? It's like readme. What else do we need? It's like index.js, like, hey, readme run bash build.sh and look at the public folder.
Do they need to run yarn at all first?
Yeah, see that?
Oh, it's in there. Cool.
Yeah, that's generally how I do it, because then at least here in the GitLab CI YAML, I just need to add like one more thing, just one thing, right?
Yeah.
So let me just delete this file. We don't need that one. We don't need that one. The rest already looks important. Now let's just like prettier. There should be like, I mean, we basically just have one file, like, right?
Yeah.
Prettier. Is it index.js? Yeah.
That sounds right. Ooh, it's pretty.
Yeah, it's also the new prettier, you know, the one that you don't want to use yet. There's one important. There's also
What's the
one
difference?
I think it's just like it always wraps. If you just have one argument in an anonymous function, it just wraps them.
I do that by habit, and Prettier changes it for me. So maybe I do want to use it. I don't know.
So you know what? Now we're going to do some cheating.
Ooh,
Yeah. So let's have a look into the CI YAML. Default image looks good. Default GitLab org test. I don't think, so this is actually a good thing that we can put here. Like we want to have a frozen log file. We don't have any further tests here, right? So we can, you know, node, I mean, it looks okay. Build, we don't need to separate those.
We might want to run the test on an MR, like just run the build script on if we have a merge request, so that we don't end up like breaking master or main.
Yeah, you're right. So we have public here. Here we do actually a gzip, so it's fine. So we only want to do pages on main, but we don't need to test script because we don't have anything to test yet, right?
Right, we'll just test the build. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so, and oh, this is a bit weird. Why is it like that? Like this should be like that. This should be like that. This should also be like that. And this should be like that. And you know, we have this crazy tool, it's called Prettier, and we just can use it to write a YAML, and it looks pretty again.
Nice.
So here I called it, you know, build sh. Do we need anything apart from curl and bash and git? I don't know, even though I don't think we even need those, right? Let's see if it breaks.
I mean, shouldn't it already have bash? Is Alpine not use bash?
Ah, you're right. We definitely no. The Alpine one are really tiny, so we don't have.
Do we need bash? Could we just use regular shell? Like, it's not doing anything super fancy, right?
I think you're right. The only thing that I really like and what I wanted to do is like, I had this cat, right, Webpack memory metrics, and I want to be like, I really like this unofficial shell mode. So in case something fails right now,
that's a good call. Let's do it.
Yeah. And I think that should be it, right?
Yeah, I would guess so. Well, let's, if we go back to the,
if you go back to the CI YAML.
If you go back to CI YAML stages, do we
yeah, you're right.
We need build.
We need build. And there's another thing that we should do. I mean, I don't think it's a big problem here, but it's like CI YAML reference. It's a thing that we don't do yet at GitLab, but that I really like, and it's default. Where's default? Default. Yeah, global defaults. And what I really like to do is, I don't know why I did put that. Ah, yeah, see, we even have like a nice yarn cache here in case we ever update the version. I think we probably also can do like
Very nice.
12.18 already. We probably even could do 14. But the thing that I wanted to do is with artifacts, and in artifacts, it would be cool. Yeah, so we have expire in, yeah. So
yeah, that's a good idea.
so like it would be like artifacts expire in
That's a nice
30
default.
days.
Yeah, I like that. That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Okay, git commit -a. How do we call that thing? Push to production.
Init commit. Push to production.
Now we have a properly named default branch as well.
All right.
So it should deploy pages, right? Like Jest speed reporter. We already should. Oh yes, pipeline is failing. That's good. Oh no. Unknown key files? What?
Jobs build cache config.
Ah, yes. This is not indented properly. So this is, by the way, one of the most annoying things in order to. Yeah, now it's valid. Git checkout -b fix CI. Maybe let's run prettier again. Git commit -a -amend. And oh no, we definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah,
I don't want to amend. Like we just want to say like, hey, properly indent cache key.
Yeah.
Push git mr.
All right.
And I'm just going to go ahead and be like,
I want to see if the pipeline works though. Okay, it looks like it's working.
Yeah, that should be like, hey, we have pages.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm so excited. Are you excited as well?
This is going to be super helpful. So like, what would then be? Oh no!
See, this is the problem because we use that XML parser. So what was the other one? Fast XML parser.
No, we have to change our parser.
Yeah.
Oh, because it doesn't have the native dependencies that it needs for building its thing. That's frustrating.
So what's array mode? You know what? Index const parser, right?
That's frustrating.
You know, on the plus side is like yarn add fast XML parser, yarn remove. What's the other one? XML to JSON.
Yep.
And we can just be like, oh, what does it do?
JSON? Sure.
Get traversal object. Like,
yeah, I guess and that's really cool. Get traversal object. And so this is going to let us actually do it in a more optimal way. Let's just convert it to JSON for right now. But I think get traversal object is going to let us, it's not going to copy all the data over. It just lets us now actually traverse it. So we can do our parsing like we were. That'll significantly save space.
So here we probably have to say array mode. What's array mode?
I don't know.
So I really don't like that do they have any docs? Like, what you have these attributes, right?
Well, JSON, JS object to XML. Just a sec. I'm looking at the.
Where does it, tell me which attributes it has? Like, oh yeah, so we have array mode.
What does array mode do?
I assume it's the thing doing the thing that we said before, right? So I mean,
they had an example on their README just there that was doing what we were wanting to do. Can we check it out with us?
Which one?
The second example.
This one?
I meant the last one. Sorry. If you go down. Oh no, this is JSON, JS. Never mind. I read that wrong.
Yeah, XML to JSON, and it's like, hey, array mode. Hopefully we are like.
Oh wait, no, look what they have to do though. So okay, this is interesting. So you see, they first have to get this traversal object on the last 2 lines. Okay, that's one way of doing it. I guess another way of doing it is on the line above those 2 lines, you can just do parse.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so where's the to JSON? We don't need that, right? It's just parser parse and options.
I was right. It is parser parse.
Okay.
It's the wrong library.
Bash build.
Let's see what happens. Uh-oh. Lots of pipelines. So those are all successful pipelines?
That don't have the JUnit artifact.
Wow, that's a lot that don't have the JUnit one. Or they don't have the Jest thing.
I think, array mode true is probably the thing that we want. But to be honest, like, let's be like, hey, maybe we just move it, parse XML, right? Oh no, parse test. Oh, no, it's fine, right? Parse and extract. Parse JUnit and extract, and we just have like the XML here, right? Parse JUnit and extract XML function parser so const object equals this, right? And then we can be like console log object. And yeah, and then let's see that we get our array. For now, maybe we should.
So sometime when you're feeling froggy,
Yeah,
you should check out the way that Dino like suggests handling its dependencies. Because your dependencies you import by a URL and there's no like package JSON or anything. If you're working like, how do I then like maintain that I have like, I'm using the same package throughout the project? Oh, what's this? Could not parse view as JSON.
Yeah, obviously because we're piping, right? So I need to call the script directly.
Oh.
Test suite. So it actually looks like, to me, it looks like the thing that we want.
Yeah, it sure does.
Oh, I have a feeling. That's interesting.
Did they parse it differently?
Do you see like
I think so.
No, they this is undefined, so they definitely it's like this one. But theoretically the test suite already should have attributes and it doesn't have any attributes. So my assumption would be it's just empty strings because it's not parsing the attributes, right?
This is bogus.
Parse attribute value.
I don't want to. Oh no. Oh no. Maybe we should just use a different Docker image for our build.
Yeah, we're almost there. Believe me.
Oh man, this seems very granular and not having the defaults I would expect it to have.
Oh, shoot. What? Why doesn't it, ignore attributes. False. This is like, why would you ignore attributes?
What is this? Oh, okay, but we don't want this attribute prefix thing. right? So that's interesting. I can appreciate a little bit what they're doing here, but it's also not helpful.
So test cases, test suite, right? So I mean, I'm fine with that. It's like we don't want the node value, right? So we can just be like attribute prefix is just empty.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
And then I'm like, hey, give me the first test suite. Maybe also, give me like the first test case.
Yeah.
Just in order to have some. This looks good, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So what do we need to return? We need to return like object test suites
Zero dot test suite, I think.
dot test suite. Yeah. And now we should get like this humongous JSON again.
Mm-hmm. And there's a big.
This looks good. We don't want to log, and we definitely want to run prettier now.
Yeah. Cool.
Git commit -a.
Do you want to
out XML parser?
Since you ran it a couple of times, do you want to add a job or add a package JSON script for the prettier command you're running?
But that means I would need to add prettier.
Oh, we don't have prettier installed. You're right. Never mind.
Yeah.
We're good. Okay.
Okay. So this should now be done, right? In the meantime.
Uh-oh. That job failed.
It failed? Shoot.
Oh, we need to find GitLab token.
Yes, that's good. That's good, right?
Right.
So settings. So the question is like, which token do we define here? And this is definitely where I'm going to pause the share for a second. So variables. So I want.
What were you saying?
I'm wondering, like, we definitely. Oh shoot! What am I doing? Like what? Yeah, I'm going to find like a token that's okay. Repository, yeah.
Do we use the robot?
No, we have a token for the Webpack memory hooks, right? So it has a GitLab token. So I'm just going to use that token as well. So yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
GitLab token.
Is that
protected
token?
So sorry. It's a token. I don't actually know who this token belongs to. Could be mine.
Okay.
You know, it's like maybe we should create a non-privileged account that we use for like scripts like these, just in order for rate limits and whatnot, that then cannot do shenanigans, right?
Yep. I think so.
Yeah. So resume share. I retried the job.
Okay. Is there any traceability? Like, is that token in 1Password or something?
That token, I basically copied it from another Playground project. And I just wanted to go to my favorite website. So I think we want to run it at the 27th minute, right? Generally. So in every hour. Right?
Why the 27th minute?
Why not? It's a random one.
Fair. Yeah.
Oh, cool. It built it successfully. Woo-hoo. So we can run it in the 27th minute, UTC. And to be honest, like hey, this is probably enough if we run it from 1 till 7.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, but you're
So-
saying this is
No,
every day, right?
1 to 5.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That's a good call.
Every hour during the work week. Less.
Every hour in the work week.
Okay, next run in 52 minutes. So that's actually smart because it doesn't run before the merge request is done, right? But the quick thing that we can do is we can check the artifact of the build job. Okay, public.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Do you see that? Ah, that's the complete thing. So the complete thing took 17 seconds, right?
But you see like there's some, so what would then be really cool is have something, you know, another smart layer on top of this to know like here's our heavy offenders, but then if there's a new offender that kind of approaches and like getting some notification of that, or like if there's not an issue existing for this kind of, that would be another really cool.
You know what the cool thing is we could do now? Because we also saved the JSON away, we actually could get the 5 last runs or the 5 last times we built that thing, or we could extend it to, you know, get the JSON artifacts of the 5 last runs and actually show us, you know, the average on the last 5 runs, right?
Yeah,
and that should be really easy to do, right?
I think probably an even smaller iteration would be we build the public thing from this, but then we could also use the JSON and make sure that we have issues created for each one of those files with a certain label.
Yeah, but that's also why I'm like, hey, let's you mean that you have a script that you can run that gets the JSON and creates issues for the ones that are over a second or something.
Right. Yeah, that would be, and then we don't create the issue if that issue already exists, like for that file. We can parse that somehow. Like that'd be really cool. The next step here, though, is definitely to change that JUnit config. That's one thing.
To have the file path.
The file path. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's also funny because the slowest test, you know, the test name already contains like thing. So yeah, I agree with the Jest config. It's nice too that we can use the file path.
Yeah.
Oh, the old notes spec. Huh? What? It took a second and it didn't do anything?
Old notes loads the notes class. Took
Wait,
0 seconds.
Are we getting the slowest test? Yes, we definitely are. Are we?
I mean, we should be.
Anyway, doesn't really matter that much.
The individual tests won't necessarily add up to the total, because the total test sometimes has like Jest does some bootstrapping stuff that it doesn't use to.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this, it means like this old notes spec, if it doesn't do anything and takes a second, it's like probably the whole file is skipped or something, right?
Like all of that test setup script, and importing, and we do lots of stuff on import sometimes. That'll all affect things before we've even started tracking an individual spec.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is so freaking helpful. Really appreciate it.
So you know what's annoying though, and what we probably should do? I like the format that you're saying, but I think we should log every spec that's over a threshold, right? So for example, here in the awards handler, you're like, hey, you know, it took 21 seconds in total, but it could be that there are 5 more tests that took 3.5 seconds. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, and that makes sense. I'm less concerned about the total time. I'm more concerned about that 3.7 seconds time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But if there are 5 more that are 3.5 seconds that we don't know?
Right. So my goal, my biggest concern is like, okay, but if it's like, if I just see a whole bunch from awards handler, I'm going to lose some of the like
other ones.
Yeah, and but I agree. It'd be nice to see
By the
more
way,
detail as well.
one concern that we actually have with the total time is right now we don't use something like knapsack. So what knapsack is actually doing on the Ruby side, it's grouping tests by length in order to have jobs that have a similar length in the end. And right now, because we are just, it could be that like a Vart handler, which takes like 21 seconds, and all the other ones end up in one of the Jest jobs, and so that one Jest job actually runs considerably longer.
Wow, that's really interesting. Maybe
So,
that.
so for example, if you look at this, right, it's like, hey, alert management table. Yeah, and so this is the reason how they consume like stuff, right? And so with this file, maybe if we would split it into, we could write our logic. Hey, let's try to get that JSON file where we have just the length of all the tests. If you don't get it, fall back to the default. Hey, just 1 to 4, but we could basically group them into specs that run the same time or something. But yeah, that's
a really I like that a lot. Yeah, I think it's a lot of stuff that we can improve upon. That's interesting about grouping tests that take a similar time, because that can help your fast ones go really fast.
So actually I thought about the other way around, right? So group them like, hey, it's just going to take not that long, right?
Yeah.
So that all the tests are like, equal in the end. Like all the jobs have the equal length.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I was trying to
Yeah.
thinking of. I was thinking of like this example you just highlighted. It's like, why in the world is that taking 14 seconds? But here's what's scary too, is these are unit tests. And if unit test takes 0.7 seconds, and unit test is where I'm getting all my value coverage from, like you could easily have 20 unit tests for a single subject. And if you're at the 0.5 second per test, you're looking at 10 seconds for the whole suite without any kind of setup time. And we have so many singletons in our app that I know like a lot of and this is a huge downside too with, I think, all the singleton stuff that we do. Just every single test file has a whole new, require environment. So we end up bootstrapping all the singletons and stuff, some of which we don't even need in some tests, multiple times.
So what that brings me back to? It's actually like the thing that you're also interested in that we currently don't show is total time, right? This is the total time. So the total time, you're also interested in test count, which is just this
yeah,
testing.
that'd be helpful. Yeah.
And average.
Ooh. Is that in there? Oh, I guess we can count it. That's a good point. Oh, I love it.
And this is just like, hey, average is like so you would be like time arg, and tests like tests arg, and then you would be like, hey, const time equals const tests equals like this.
But this time arg and test arg, yeah, that is highly a stylistic preference, but yeah, that average though isn't going to be completely accurate because that includes all of the like startup stuff. So you could end up in a really weird situation where the average is greater than the slowest.
Yes, now I know. So you would basically be like, hey, average, and then we just iterate over the test cases.
Yeah, we'll need to do we'll need to find sum of test case. with the test, yeah, something like that.
And then you're like average length. It's like this, like function.
Yep.
And then cases, and then it's just like we just copy this bit because it's smart, right? And here reduce, it's just like sum cur, and then what is it like current, and then we just do sum plus current number current time, right? And then we do 0, and
Yeah.
then we do through cases length.
Yeah. But we really want to, what we'd want to do, if we're being just extra finicky, is add a guard for if cases is an empty array and just returning 0. Because we don't want to divide by 0 and blow up for some, because we actually have where we do this, we pass an empty array actually to here. Yeah.
Like this.
Yep. It's beautiful.
It's super beautiful. Like, good, check out.
This is going to be really nice.
Oh, unexpected token.
Oh yeah, you got to have the semicolons. Yeah.
It's like add average and test count to the output. It's also funny, you know, that we are like, hey, let's oh, no, I don't want that. I want that. That we are like, hey, let's parse the tests argument instead of just taking the test case length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully those are the same. I don't know. One thing too, and this you know kind of depends on.
How is the YAML invalid?
Oh, was your master out of date?
Oh yes, you're right. Git
the main out of date.
Yeah. So, oh god, git rebase minus I, and then it's origin main. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
What?
Too many origins.
How? Oh no, we actually have a conflict. Oh
yeah. That's just because we introduced the function at the same spot. So one extreme side note, like since we were talking about it because I was selling it to you.
Yeah.
With Dino, you import based on a URL. And so if I want to have like, okay, I have multiple files now in my project, how do I make sure I'm importing from the same third party? They don't have like a package JSON. What they suggest doing is having a dependencies module that you kind of, it's basically forces you to do this adapter pattern for every dependency, where you do this import export thing, which is what's really cool is, oh, I've imported, I bumped a version, but now that I've kind of been forced to do this adapter, I can actually just fix that API difference in my dependencies module, as opposed to like having to unbox throughout my entire code base. However, I've was coupled to the previous API, which kind of came up when we were converting XML to JSON to the fast XML parser. We could have ended up not touching any kind of our main application code, just changing how do I.
But my argument to that is you can also do that with Node.
Yeah, no, so you could definitely do the same thing. What's interesting is how Dino like kind of forces you to, and it's just a really interesting paradigm. I would suggest checking it out.
Yeah. You know what I'm now interested in?
Oh, yes.
The average. Like, oh, why? It's like, why can't we even do icons? It's like,
Oh, they're off a little bit.
is this like a GL button? Did someone replace that with a GL button? Yeah, looks like it. And so this, broke everything again, just because.
Since we were moving from Font Awesome to SVGs.
Yeah. At some point we should be. Oh, the average is interesting. So where's the one that was really long, like 14 seconds or something? Like, was it awards handler? No, which one was it? Like, see, that's also funny. Like awards handler.
Yeah.
And now you have one that's slower, and now it just took like 1.9 seconds. Earlier it took like 3.6 seconds.
Yeah.
So the variance seems to be very high. But so in this one, it's really interesting that the average is only 0.588, while the longest one took 1.926, right? So it would also be interesting how much does your slowest test in that file, deviate, because that tells you a lot, right? Like, hey, because if you like have an average of 0.4, but the longest one took 0.45, it actually means that, hey, this is probably like fine, right? Because you just have a bunch of unit tests or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like this one is also like 54 tests, average 90 milliseconds. Is that 90 milliseconds?
It's like 0.1. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. No, it's like 90 milliseconds. No, 9.
That's interesting because you could end up, because when unit tests are fast, like they're really fast. Like when unit tests are fast, it's like 0.01 millisecond is very possible. But when they're slow, like, so you get a huge spread really, and average is going to be tough because you will get a huge spread. I think another interesting thing to capture here would be like, let's just see how many test cases are above like a certain threshold. So maybe the average is like 0.01, but we still have 20 cases that are above, 0.5 or 1 second or something.
I think we have a good setup to improve this page, right?
Yeah.
And that's all we need. Going to stop the share. Oh gosh, we were here for 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Hey, it was worth it. It was fun. Let
me stop. Yeah, I like coding, even though I shouldn't do that often anymore.